I've seen insurers spend 6 months, sometimes longer, building AI explainability reports that no regulator would ever accept. Hundreds of pages, beautiful formatting, completely useless. And the reason they're useless isn't that the teams were lazy, it's that nobody told them what regulators actually want to see. So they guessed, they over engineered, they built reports for data scientists and handed them to compliance examiners. Let me save you 6 months. Here are the 5 things regulators actually want in your AI decision reports and what you can skip entirely. The first thing every regulator wants to see is decision input transparency. And I need to be specific about what that means because most teams get this wrong. When your AI model makes a decision, approves a claim, flags it for review, denies it, the regulator wants to know what data inputs drove that decision. Not all of them. Not the 500 features your model ingests. They want the top 5 to 10 contributing factors. In plain business language, here's what a good report looks like. This claim was flagged because the amount exceeded the peer average by 3 times. The provider has 2 prior fraud flags on record. And the submission timing was anomalous relative to the treatment date. That's it. Clear, readable, auditable. Here's what a bad report looks like. Feature _ 247 had a feature importance score of 0.73. Feature _ 312 contributed -0.41 to the output logit. That tells a data scientist something. It tells a regulator nothing. And it tells the NAIC examiners sitting across the table that you don't actually understand what your own model is doing. You're just printing its internal math. The principle is simple. If a non-technical compliance officer can't read your decision explanation and understand why the AI made that call, your report fails the test. Every time. The second element regulators want is the confidence score, but not just the number. They want the context around it. Every AI model produces some form of confidence output, a probability score, a risk rating, a percentage. Fine, include it. But here's what separates a report that passes from one that gets flagged. The regulator wants to know what happens at different confidence levels. What are your thresholds? What are the decision rules built on top of that score? Let me give you an example. A strong report says, at 95% confidence and above, this claim is auto-approved. Between 70 and 95%, it routes to a human reviewer. Below 70%, it escalates to the Special Investigations Unit. That tells the regulator 3 critical things. 1. You have thresholds. 2. You've thought about the gray area between high confidence and low confidence. And 3. Humans are involved, where uncertainty exists. Now compare that to a report that just says model confidence 0.82. That's a number with no meaning. 0.82. Out of what? What happens at 0.82? Who decided 0.82 was good enough? The NIC's Model Bulletin on AI from 2023 specifically emphasizes that insurers need to document not just the model outputs, but the decision framework around those outputs. The confidence score is useless without the governance structure that sits on top of it. Document the thresholds. Document who set them. That's what they're looking for. Element 3 is one that catches most insurers off guard. Alternative outcome analysis. Some people call these counterfactual explanations. The idea is straightforward. The regulator wants to know what would have happened if one input was different. If the claim amount had been $2,000 lower, this claim would have been approved. If the provider's fraud flag count was 0 instead of 2, the risk score would have dropped from high to moderate. Why does this matter? Because it proves something critical about your model. It's making consistent, reasonable, proportional decisions. It's not a black box throwing out arbitrary answers. It's responding to inputs in a way that makes logical sense. And when a consumer disputes a decision, and they will dispute decisions, you need to be able to explain not just why the decision was made, but what would have needed to be different for the outcome to change. The EU's AI Act and the emerging state-level regulations in the US are both moving toward requiring this kind of explanation for high-impact automated decisions. Insurance underwriting and claims, those are high impact. If you're not documenting counterfactuals now, you're going to be scrambling to retrofit them later. Element 4. And I want to be direct. This is where most insurers have zero documentation, and it's where regulators look first. Bias and fairness evidence. Your model is making decisions that affect real people. Claim approvals, claim denials, premium adjustments, underwriting decisions, and regulators. The NAIC, state DOIs, the CFPB on the financial services side. They all want to know, is your model treating protected classes fairly? That means testing across age, gender, geography, ethnicity, disability status. Running disparate impact analysis, looking at whether approval rates or denial rates differ significantly across these groups, after controlling for legitimate risk factors. The Colorado AI Act, SB 21-169, is one of the most specific pieces of legislation on this. It requires insurers using AI in underwriting or claims to conduct bias testing and provide results to regulators upon request. And Colorado is not alone. Connecticut, Illinois, and several other states are moving in the same direction. Here's what I see in practice. I ask insurers, show me your AI fairness testing documentation. And 9 out of 10 times, silence. Maybe a vague reference to the model validation report. Maybe someone says, we'll get back to you on that. That silence is going to be expensive, because when a regulator asks that question, and they will ask, we don't have that, is not an acceptable answer. It's a finding. And depending on the state, it could be an enforcement action waiting to happen. You don't need to prove your model is perfect. You need to prove you tested it, you documented the results, and you have a remediation plan for any disparities found. That's the bar. And most insurers aren't clearing it. The fifth and final element is the one that ties everything together: audit trail and version control. Regulators don't just want to see the decision. They want to see the chain of custody. Which model version made this decision? When was that model version last validated? Who approved the model for production use? What data was it trained on? When was the training data last refreshed? Think of it like a chain of evidence in a legal proceeding. Every link needs to be documented and traceable. Here's what a strong audit trail looks like. Decision made by model version 3.2. 1. Deployed on March 15th. Validated on February 28th. Approved for production by the Model Risk Committee on March 1st. Trained on data through December 31st of the prior year. That's a complete chain. The regulator can trace the decision back to a specific model, a specific validation, a specific approval, and a specific dataset. Now here's what most insurers have. Decision made by the AI. That's it. No version number, no validation date, no approval chain. The model is a monolith. It runs, it makes decisions. Nobody knows which version is live. Nobody knows when it was last validated. And when the regulator asks, there's a frantic scramble through emails and DORA tickets trying to reconstruct the history. Model versioning and audit trails are foundational requirements in the NAIC's Model Governance Framework and the EU's DORA regulation. This isn't optional, it's expected, and the insurers that have it automated and ready to produce on demand, they sail through examinations. The ones that don't, they're the ones writing remediation plans for the next 12 months. 5 elements: decision input transparency, confidence scores with context, alternative outcome analysis, bias and fairness evidence, audit trail and version control. If your AI systems can produce all 5 on demand for any decision at any time, you're in the top 5%. If you're missing even one, now you know where the gap is. Aiden Flux already generates decision explainability reports and LLM written plain English narratives. That's live today. The remaining elements are on our compliance automation roadmap. If you're the person who'll be sitting across from the examiner when these questions come up, I want to hear which of these 5 is your biggest gap right now. That's what I'm building next. Link in the description.